Welcome to another episode of Beauty and the Priest. I'm Fiona.
And I'm Jim, and today we're talking about something that we've noticed as being a bit of an epidemic in today's society, especially since the post-COVID world that we're finding ourselves in. That epidemic is loneliness. It seems to cover all age groups and just about any demographic you'd like to mention. I might perhaps start with you, Fiona, if you want to talk a little bit about loneliness and what you've seen in that space.
Yeah, well, definitely it seems to be a lot wider spread now. It used to be that we would talk about elderly people were lonely or disabled people were lonely because they didn't get to go out and have those social interactions. But post COVID, the last 2 years where people have either been locked up inside their homes, either by law or by fear of not wanting to go out and catch germs or be susceptible to what's going on. And what I've noticed is that we've created kind of a pattern. So we've gotten so comfortable at home and communicating, like we were saying, through our phones and not actually having those social interactions. Honestly, I before COVID rated quite highly on the extrovert scale in a personality test, and now I am way down, and I'm finding it is actually exhausting going out, and extroverts typically get their energy from being out and around other people.
Right.
I'm finding less and less that I want to go out and be around other people, maybe one or two to catch up with for lunch or something, but I'm finding that even I'm getting tired going out. But the other side of that is that my spirit is used to being around lots of people. So there's a sense of feeling lonely, but I don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other people that I've spoken to as well are finding it difficult to just start going back out there again, or picking up the phone and having conversations. We're having less and less conversations on the phone and more scrolling on Instagram, as you pointed out before. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting.
Experience.
I think it's an interesting thing because it's one of the laws of the universe. It seems to be that entropy is the thing that will happen. So things will fall to the lowest common denominator. Things will, Murphy's law, things will get worse if they're just left alone. Degrade, decompose, all those type of things. And our personalities and our persona is not immune to that effect. It's one of those really bizarre things that we had, as you said, we've been imposed through external forces, but also in ourselves. We were chosen to not engage. So there's that from the lockdowns and such, but also just in fear of COVID. But I think, especially over the last 20 odd years, it seems to me with the rise of social media, as you mentioned, Instagram, but there's anything, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, even the way we consume media, whether that's television or watching YouTube or anything else like that we might do, watching movies, we have this ability to pause things, to swipe things away, to just totally disengage in things that we find boring. And even our attention span seems to be getting less and less.
Absolutely.
Even
the attention span thing has been actually proven that, and anyone who has done digital marketing knows that you've got like 20, well, not even 20 seconds. We don't have the attention span to sit. And the other word that you mentioned, which is really important, is engagement. We're disengaged from the conversations, disengaged from listening, disengaged from even relationships. And of course, we're going to have a sense of loneliness if we're not engaged in our relationships. So, because it's like even looking at mothers or parents at the park while their child is playing and they're on their phone. And it breaks my heart because I'm thinking that kid's going to grow up and you haven't got this in your heart and your mind to remember these, the wonder of your child playing right now. It's, and it's, I'm so glad that I didn't have phones when my kids were little because I might have fallen into that habit as well. But
it's just so easy, and it's one of those things that just happens. And like I said before, the general entropy that happens in the universe, things will just float down. They will just get worse if we just leave them alone. So it takes a certain level of strength to actively engage with that. One of the things I asked my wife to consider the other day was I recognized in myself that I'd really got in the habit of when we eat dinner, as soon as I'm done, I'll leave. Like every time I'm out of there.
Yep.
And it becomes so much of a noticeable thing to me. I used to work with a lady a few years ago. She was from Mexico, and we were talking just over lunch with everybody else, and they have a word called sobremesa. I'm probably completely messing that up, but the actual word means that it's something that you do after a meal. It's a conversation piece, and so it's a big thing, a part of their culture.
Yeah.
So I got to the point where I said to my wife, "Can you let me know? Don't get up. Don't take the plates. Don't go and collect other people's plates. Don't go and do that. Be in the moment after the dinner. Like, just stay there."
Yeah.
And so I even got to the point the other day where I was holding onto the chair with my hand to stop me from getting up from it.
Yeah, because your muscle memory.
Such a thing.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? And does that just show that we've started just living in our own little world for a party of one? And, well, I'm done now, so see ya. But, my husband does that as well. Like, he gets up and he's finished, so he's gone. And actually, and I also think that that's just his sort of brain pattern as well. When we first started dating, I would not even, if we went out for dinner, he'd get up to, right, we're done, we're leaving now, straight away. I'm still eating. I've still got half a glass of wine or something. I'm like, hello. Oh, okay, we're done. But he's now consciously aware of it. And I think that's what you're saying about that. If we don't do something about it, it'll keep just spiraling.
Yeah.
The biggest key to change is awareness of what it is in the first place. And that's why we're having this conversation is, are you lonely? Do you know someone that's lonely? Are you isolating yourself in one way or another, be it physical or mental, and living in your own little world because of just the patterns and habits that we've maybe developed over the last few years? And I 100% agree with you. Since we've had social media, and honestly, that's why I've been off it probably for the last 12 months, because it seems that everybody is the guru of everything and everyone else. And I'm like, how about just the engagement and conversations and caring about other people too? And you hit the nail on the head before we hit record, but that narcissistic tendency of just, here's what I'm doing, here's where I'm going, here's what I believe in, and we don't get that conversational feedback loop. It's just all me.
Yeah.
And in that relationship or in that conversation, that in-person conversation, there's a bit of I talk, then you talk, but also not just I talk, you talk, I listen. And if I'm listening properly, then I'm asking you questions about what you're saying to me, not how I can relate it to my experience and tell you what I've done next.
How can I turn this back around?
How can I hijack what you're telling me and make it about me? And like, I'm about to go and do training in communication, and this is one of the topics that I cover is I do this little activity with them and make them sit down for 5 minutes, and the one person has to talk and the other person can't do anything other ask questions about what they're saying. So to find out their urge to jump in and go, oh, I did that too, or I went there too, or I feel like this about that. It's like they've got to stop that urge and just ask them a question that digs a little deeper into what they're saying. And it makes people so uncomfortable, but it makes them not hyper aware, just aware of their tendency to do that. And I do that. I'm on the ADHD spectrum, and so I tend to get distracted easily, or I might even just change the subject halfway through what you're saying. But awareness helps me to really focus and practice being engaged and like force myself to be engaged until it becomes natural. So I think this is where steering it back to loneliness is where we can tend to feel lonely because we're not having that two-way interaction. I'm going over here because you're over here on my screen. We're not having that two-way interaction. We're just putting out there that me content.
And I think one of the things, again, before we were on camera, I'd mentioned that narcissistic behavior is actually rewarded and accentuated more and more by social media. The one of the big issues, of course, in that is that we tend to believe that, yes, the world indeed does revolve around us, because that's what we've been taught, or we're teaching ourselves to accept, which actually it doesn't. You know, and so that the reason why that's important when it comes to loneliness is that when we start believing that the world revolves around us and that we can curate our own lived experience, the problem then becomes when other people don't acknowledge that. There is only so many of those people that we can reject before we've got nobody left around us who are just not supporting us or not seeing what we're seeing, that we are in fact the hero of our own story type of thing. And that causes a cognitive dissonance. We start really second guessing and we are trapped within that loneliness bubble. So the way to counteract that is to find ways to actively engage with others. And, you know, I know I've talked about this before, but there's a really great book that was written about 90 years ago, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's one of those really key ideas in that is to look into ways where we can be actively engaged, where we can show enthusiasm about what the other person has got to say. It's a key skill. And if you do that, if you train yourself to do that, people will find you interesting. You know why? Because you're talking about them. Just their favorite topic, right?
And I guess it's really important too is to be aware that we have created these patterns and habits. It's actual neurowiring. So the habit of just scrolling through Instagram, the habit of picking up your phone to look at Facebook or pick up look at Instagram, you do it automatically these days. Like if you want to stop doing that, you need to put your phone away somewhere, because your brain will pick it up when you're either tempted to, when you want to procrastinate, your brain will send you to Instagram and Facebook. When you don't want to have a conversation, you'll send someone a text message. And we've used that to avoid conversations now. We've used texting because like I can't be bothered talking to someone. Well, why can't I be bothered talking to someone? Is it because then I have to listen to them and their story as well? I wonder if that's what is going on for us. And so I guess if we are going to hit the reset button on engagement and conversation, and yes, we're communicating, but proper communication is only 7% words. The rest of it is body language, is the energy we exchange, is our tone. And this is why a lot of communication gets misconstrued as being rude or something, because you're getting 7% of the communication by just looking at a text or an email. And then we're using that to like as a shield to hide behind. So we're aware, there's the awareness part. The next is the action, and the action then creates the rewiring of your brain and your habits that we've created over the last few years. To be kind and gentle with yourself, to go, okay, my brain has been rewired, so it's going to tell me this is really uncomfortable. To pick up the phone and maybe challenge yourself that for every second text message you send, you're going to actually pick up the phone and talk to the person. Or for every email you want to send, pick up the phone and talk to the person, and just start pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone before your brain rewires and feels comfortable again with conversation. Because conversation is that critical part of connection. Sorry.
And the more that we do that, the more that we do the opposite of that. Is what I mean to say. The more that we do not engage, the more that we withdraw into our own social bubble and isolate. Yes, the worse it actually is going to be for us. It's a really terrible place to be, because all you end up doing is hearing your own press, hearing your own voices, and often they are not good voices.
No.
Often they're ones that are telling us that we don't look all that well, or people don't like us, or all these different things. And then we start looking for evidence of those things to be true, and we dismiss things that don't go along with that story. Really, really, really unhelpful for us.
And with what you said there is like the longer you let it go, the harder it will be to come back out of, because it literally is, again, with the habit forming, your brain neuro wiring. It's very hard to say that. You create neural pathways of habits. And the more you do it, the longer you do it, the stronger that pathway gets. So it goes from a really fine pathway to a really big, wide pathway that is harder to break. But the good news is we've found out that you can rewire any part of your habits. You know how they used to say in the old days, you can't teach a dog new tricks. Well, modern day neuroscience and psychology has shown us we absolutely can. So, and this is the thing, it's got to be a choice as well. Like you've got to be mindful of whether you're using that loneliness to feel sorry for yourself and to be a victim, because I've had conversations with people that I'm close to that have gone, no one talks to me, no one rings me, I'm really lonely. I'm like, when's the last time you picked up the phone? If you're lonely, can you not call someone else and talk to them? Can you not go out? Can you not do? I'm like, yeah, but, we are responsible for our own happiness and outcomes. So we can't use that as a way to become a victim of our own circumstances and our own not wanting to step out of our comfort zone as well. It will be uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
You do have to make your own choices. What you said right at the beginning is, if we don't change something, it'll keep spiraling downwards. Individually, we need to take responsibility for where we are and take those steps. No one's coming to rescue us. We can pray and God will definitely come and partner with you. But normally when we pray for something, we do, there are miracles where God just ding. But most of the time he wants you to work with him. So he'll come alongside you. You've got to pick up the phone, make the connections, ask someone out for lunch, get out of your house and make the moves.
I remember pre-COVID, the whole idea used to be, and I'm talking for years, the idea used to be, I just need some more time at home and then I'll be able to get these things done. I just need some more time where I don't have to travel. If I didn't have to drive as far or travel or transport, whatever, as far, then I'd have much more time in the day. I'd be able to get, my health would be up to date. I'd be engaging in fitness. I just don't have enough time. Well, we now know that's not the case.
It's not the case, because we did none of that while we had the time to do it. And so therefore it was like, well, obviously, what does that mean? Is that we were using that as an excuse to let ourselves off the hook, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so we do need to engage with those things that we're important. We need to choose the important over the urgent, or even the lack of urgency. You know, there is that thing that I believe most people, if not everybody, gets, where you've got an appointment that's coming up that you don't really want to go to, but you've said you will, and then somebody calls to cancel, or you get an email, and then you get that flush.
It's like, oh, thank God.
Great, I'll just put my tracky decks on and I'll watch telly tonight, type of thing. There is that, and that sort of compounds that idea that we have of, let's just remain in our bubble. Let's remain in our bubble. Try not to do that.
No, well, this is the thing, is that if we need to take responsibility for where we are, if you don't like where you are, change it. And in most circumstances, you are able to change. And it's not comfortable, it's not easy, but once you re-establish that habit again, it becomes easier, it becomes more consistent, it becomes more comfortable. Like every other habit, like if you've ever wanted to learn a sport, learn an instrument, or teach yourself something that you wanted, you had to sit there and go through the discomfort. Like using guitar, you'd have to before your muscle memory, your neural pathways created you don't even need to look at it now, because you've established the habit. Your brain has established the habit. But I think one of the important things is, with any kind of change, and let's take it back to loneliness again, is pick up the phone yourself, because other people might think, because you haven't engaged with them, is that you don't want to talk to them. So pick up the phone. If they don't want to talk to you, they'll tell you. Then call someone else. Let's use that word engagement. We need to re-engage, first of all, with ourselves, and reconnect with how amazing we are and what God made us to be, right? Engage with our gifts, our passions, our personality, and go, what might I be able to offer somebody else if I go out there? It's not just about me like it is on social media. Let me go out and make it about that person. Like this is one of the things that I'm like, I've just started going to church again. It's like, what might God be able to use me for in this situation? How might I be able to encourage people? And we were meant to live in fellowship and
society,
and relationship with each other. It's like the relationship we have with God is meant to be like the relationship we have with each other, that unconditional, let me be there for you, let me encourage you, let me walk alongside you through your life. And I can't impact anybody if I'm keeping myself isolated at home and just sitting there swiping across everybody's stories. It's not about what can they give me, but how can God use me out there for them?
Yeah, that's right.
And use that as a motivation.
It's a challenge because sometimes where somebody else, inverted commas, needs us is where other people have not agreed to partner with them in that space. So it's probably, if not possibly, going to be an area that's not all that comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, so other people are saying no. So in order to friend with that person, to be able to be there in that space for them, we need to do things that other people have not agreed to.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about dangerous things, of course, but
yeah.
just if they're really interested in model cars, and that's the way that the conversation's going to go for that person, find ways to find that interesting. It's really a skill.
Yeah.
It's something that we can develop. And I know we've talked about Bob Goff's book before. I love that book. It's a great book. And there's a whole part where he talks about quit it Thursdays, where he just quits things on Thursdays.
Yes.
Well, I feel a bit like I misrepresented that part, because the only way you can quit things on Thursdays is if for the other days, you've actually picked things up, and I'm going to stop doing that on Thursday. Because I've now picked up a whole lot of other things that I'm feeling a lot more enjoyable and
quitting everything.
a lot better. Yeah. So don't just constantly quit things and curate your life to make it more comfortable.
Yeah, so I can sit and watch Netflix more often.
Yeah, that's right. Not that.
I think also we need to mention that that it's about just reassessing what's important to you as well. So if I'm not keen to go out and engage in this relationship with that person, then why? Is it me and I'm just gotten too comfortable at home, or is it that I actually don't think this relationship adds any value to them or me? Am I doing this? This is one thing that I've been doing a lot lately is running everything by, am I doing this because I think I should? Am I doing this because I need to, or am I doing this because I want to?
Yeah.
One of the things you've taught me. What do you want to do, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the need and want have to go hand in hand, because sometimes I need to want something because I need to. Yes. I don't want to eat healthy, but I need to. So therefore, I'm going to want to because I need to. Yeah. But if I'm doing something, if it's because I think I should call that person, or I think I should engage with that, or I think I should do this task, there's going to be less drive to achieve it. So we're basically setting ourselves up to fail. And that can also create a pattern as well. So then we can become a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure as well. So let's try and set yourself up to succeed by even just going, is this adding value to life? And sometimes, is this adding value to God's kingdom? Because God's here building a kingdom. I'm not building a kingdom, and I should be focused a bit on that too. And when we say engage with others and make that effort to engage with others, it doesn't necessarily mean go and be there to solve their problems, counsel them, or anything like that. It's just come alongside them and have a coffee and just do life together.
Yeah,
no outcomes necessary. Just be there.
Yeah. It used to be the thing where there was the idea of people going to bars, typically men going to bars and just being there and just pouring our sorrows over a drink and just sharing with others and relating stories and things like that. That liquid courage that enables them to actually open up and talk with other people, and it even gives them the excuse of being dismissive. Oh, don't mind me, I just get like that after I've had a few drinks. It's like, well, no, that's actually you needing to relate to other people. We don't need that liquid courage. In order to do that, we can journey with other people, and it's important that we do.
Yeah, it's called being vulnerable. It's called letting your real feelings out. And that's why, that Are You Okay day, which is great. But what we need to do is go like, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. All right. So that's the stock standard answer. Cool. How are you really?
Yeah.
What's going on for you? We need to dig a little deeper into, how people are, to give them a space where they can actually open up with that, liquid courage without the liquid. Is like, how are you really feeling?
I think it's important, but I also think it's important to develop a habit of making friends with people first, because that can be a confronting question. I remember the first time somebody did that to me, and I was I'm not really having a great day.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "Oh, you okay?" I go, "Yeah, fine." Yeah, but how are you really? And it's like, oh, hang on, I don't know you
just
that well.
met you.
Yeah, like I'm not prepared to just go, these are the things that are weighing down my soul. Let me just start talking to you about all of them. Well, no, I think developing friendships, being there for each other, journeying together, these are all vital things to do.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's certain things that it's like, as a coach, in the first few sessions, you'll find that people will be very, here's how much I will share with you, and here's how much I will allow you to help me with. But that starts getting wider and wider as you build that trust and rapport with somebody. Rapport and relationship breeds trust and vulnerability. Like, I now feel safe to just bawl my eyes out with you, or I now feel safe to just go, I feel like crap, and I'm just going to sit here like this while you tell me about you. But you have to earn that. It's not just instant when you first meet someone.
And you can't just spring that on somebody like, tell me about it.
But tell me how you are really. No,
that's right.
So if we sort of, sorry,
I was going to say, no, just I think in getting back to what we were going to say is, about loneliness.
Yes.
I think a key to not being lonely is to don't be lonely. That's the first thing, right? And to engage. And you'll find two things happen, which are both exact opposites. One is that you'll get sort of rejected. That's just what will happen. Things will get difficult. Things will get in your way. Take heart, be courageous. And the other thing is you will find the exact opposite too. Things will come into your path that people will go, look, I don't even know how to talk to you about this, because these are some things that I've got going through right now. I'm not even looking for somebody to solve my problem. I just need to vent it,
absolutely.
Sometimes you can, it's not here's $100, this should solve your problem. It's not that. It's sometimes
being there to hear it.
Hearing your concern and legitimizing it and saying that's a genuine concern.
So there's one important part to this loneliness. Okay, so if you're sitting at home and you're feeling lonely, or someone, if you're just really connecting with this topic, the other thing is that God can provide that sense of comfort. He sent us the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, who is the Comforter, the Helper. And when we are feeling lonely, even sometimes if you're there and you're going, but I have a really active social life, I'm out, I'm working with a big team of people, and I'm out there socializing a lot, but I still feel lonely. That will be because there's a place inside us, there's that vacuum inside us that only God can fulfill. God can fill that empty space inside us. God can be the one that wraps his loving arms around you and say, I've got you right now. God's the one that can make you feel that you are not alone. And yes, we need to connect with each other. That's why God built us to live in community, and it takes a village and all those other wonderful things. But also, God can provide that sense of comfort and warmth, and when there's no one else around you, or when you're surrounded by people and still feel lonely, that need can be satisfied by God. So, first go to God, and then go out there into the community and engage. Like, you are responsible for your own happiness. No one else is. If you're lonely, pick up the phone. If you want to connect, pick up the phone, invite people over, invite people out for coffee, and start taking control of your own circumstances. And do assess, like we said, is this the right person to connect with? Because some people are life-taking and some people are life-giving, some relationships. To make sure you're spending enough time with the life-giving relationships, and just start gently rewiring your brain to get comfortable with getting back out there, with picking up the phone, not sending text messages, with going down and just, maybe saying hello to people when you go for a walk around the block and make eye contact with them, to just start slowly re-engaging back in relationships.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really important. The books we've talked about today, of course, is Bob Goff's Love Does.
Love Does. Love that book.
There's obviously we've talked about some other things as well, but the Bible, the places that I've been reflecting on most recently is the book of Isaiah. Chapter 12 is the song of Isaiah that he sings in praise to God, but also chapter 65 is particularly good as well. Fiona, you were just mentioning what I would have called the God-shaped hole that we all have within us, that need that can only be filled from God. Isaiah 65 is a great place to talk about the new heaven and the new earth, what things will be like. And just in reading like that, reading what that's going to be like, recognizes for me that is the thing that I am missing. I feel like I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what everybody really has at their baseline level, knowing that things are broken here. Things are not great. Things are happening that really shouldn't happen, and it's because we're actually not inherently designed for this. We're designed for a perfect place, which is what is waiting for us.
Absolutely. I love that. That was well summarized. So I'm going to leave the notes in the description of this video of the books that we've covered. Very quickly, if you're rehabiting, which a lot of this is rehabiting after the last few years, there's a book. It's not a Christian resource. It is James Clear, Atomic Habits. I'll also leave a link in the description to that book. It really simplifies rehabiting and makes it very easy to achieve our long-term goals by using atomic habits. So what he says is micro habits, macro results. So it's it's a good
compounding interest.
Hey,
it's compounding interest. Just little changes constantly make
100%. 100%. So
the other one, of course, is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh yes, I'll leave all of the those in the description. And if you've got any thoughts or comments on this video, please leave your comments and thoughts down below. We will reply to you. I'd love to hear your experiences or whether you found this helpful. And we look forward to seeing you next time for another episode of Beauty and the Priest. Bye for now.